Joining me right now is Kansas Senator and Small Business and Agriculture Committee member Roger Marshall. Congressman, it's great to see you. Pardon me. It's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Senator, I want to get your take on what the thinking is in terms of COVID-19, because we continue to see China cover up, and yet it seems that there's no blowback whatsoever from this administration and Congress holding the CCP's feet to the fire. This was a mistake out of the Wuhan lab, we're told. We don't know if it was a biological weapon or intentional or what the story is. But will there be any accountability now that 4.5 million people are dead because of COVID?
I sure hope so, Marie. You know, we did a timeline that takes us all the way back to September of 2019 when Dr. Shi took a genetic lab bank offline, and that was probably the first part of the cover-up. We actually are looking at some information that takes it back to August, and now what we need, though, is all of Congress on multiple committees to take a deep dive in this. And why the Democrats don't take this serious, I don't know, but there's lots of evidence now that point to this virus going back to at least September of 2019 and the Chinese Communist Party covering this up.
Yeah, I know, but we don't see any policy with any teeth. Tell me what should be done in terms of the CCP. We know what the Chinese Communist Party has been doing, not just the COVID-19 timeline, where all of the circumstantial evidence continues to show that it originated in a Wuhan lab, but you're also talking about just missteps on the global road, bullying its neighbors in the South China Sea, stealing intellectual property, invading countries like India, killing soldiers there, invading Hong Kong 25 years early, and throwing down the national security law. Will there ever be accountability for a CCP which has become much more inward than anybody expected and communist in the last 10 years?
Well, Maria, certainly this has turned into an economic weapon for China. As you know, they're the only country that benefited from a dollars and cents standpoint. But we think it's more than circumferential evidence. We think there's a preponderance of evidence out there that would support this was leaked from the laboratory in Wuhan and most likely was made there as well. And we just got to bring this to light. We have to have a whole world approach to it as well. I think that what we need is a full-throated hearing process where the president needs to release all the information that they have, emails and phone calls going back to at least September of 2019. We need the EcoHealth system, which was funded by Dr. Fauci and the NIH, to show us their genetic sequences. We need our own NIH to share with us the genetic sequences that Dr. Shi put up there, and then we took them down for some reason. I think that those genetic sequences will lead us to the final COVID-19 viruses, that they are the witnesses that are still alive. So we need that information. We need to be able to look really closely. Much like if I knew your DNA and had a set of other DNA from people, I could figure out who were your parents. We could figure out where the parents and the cousins to COVID-19 were if we could look at these DNA lab banks.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, but you got to have the cooperation of the CCP, right? They won't cooperate on any investigation into COVID-19, and it doesn't seem like this president is going to force the issue or hold them accountable. And by the way, Senator, you're talking about a COVID-19 disaster killing 4.5 million people across the world. You're talking about, as we speak, 1.3 million illegals coming into this country year to date. You've got right now 10,000 people standing under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas, waiting to get apprehended. Talking about a massive debacle in Afghanistan, 13 of our servicemen dead, and yet you and your colleagues are negotiating about a Green New Deal. Riddle me that.
Okay, riddle me that, Batman. You know, that's the hypocrisy of this White House. It's one crisis after another created by this White House. But I do want to go back to the COVID origins one more time. There are DNA sequences that this White House can control. The EcoHealth system should have DNA that we can look at. The NIH should have copies of DNA. It would be much easier if China would cooperate. But there is information out there that we should get at. You know, and to the point you're they're making here, the hypocrisy that we have a COVID vaccine mandate from this president, but yet we're letting thousands of people cross the border every day. 10 to 25% of them are positive for COVID, and then we're putting them in an environment into super spreader events. I know back home, folks are so mad. I've never seen people so mad as they are about this vaccine mandate.
Yeah, no, Senator, I think you're making so many important points, and we're looking on the screen of your 8-point plan in terms of pursuing the truth here. And we appreciate you pursuing this to get to the truth. This is an important story. Equally important are these other issues. I mean, I'm joking about the riddle me that, but this is a serious situation. You've got massive fires burning out across the country, and this administration is not acknowledging. They're not acknowledging the border. They're not acknowledging the missteps in Afghanistan, and yet they're saying, let's change the conversation and talk about, mandates for a vaccine. Do you think that this $3.5 trillion plan goes through? What's the story in terms of it being tied to the infrastructure plan?
Yeah, well, Maria, like you pointed out earlier, it's really a $5.5 trillion plan over 10 years and another trillion on top of that. So it looks like right now, to me, the Democrats have formed a circular firing squad, and we don't want to get in the middle of it. I think we need folks like you just sharing the truth of this legislation, that it's reckless spending, it's reckless taxing, it's going to lead to reckless inflation, it's going to kill our economy and kill our jobs. America needs to know this. They have a choice. Do they want free enterprise capitalism, or do they want socialism, Marxism-based economy ruled by the government? So we're going to do everything we can to stop it. We need Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to stand up strong and stop this reckless spending.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the Small Business Committee. You've got to believe that small business is going to get impacted by these significant tax increases that they're talking about, just at a time when the economy is beginning to turn.
Exactly. And I'm going to go back to the vaccine mandates, which is killing small businesses as well. We have hospitals and nursing homes desperate for doctors and nurses right now. This economic plan of government control will kill small businesses, the milk of our economy.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points, because one businessman said to me, I'm having a hard enough time getting employees back to work. I'm going to have an even harder time now with this mandate on the vaccine. Senator, thanks for all you're doing. We appreciate it, and we'll be watching from COVID to economics. Thank you, sir. Senator Roger Marshall joining us. Quick break.